Alright, guys, so today I'm going to be talking about the 1, 2, 3, 4 scales system. And 1, 2, 3, 4 is a system of scales I've used to characterize the good and evil done to humans. One is, it turns out that it's not just about the good and evil you do in your life, but it's also about the good and evil that's done to you in your life. So, these scales represent the four in terms of heaviest to least heavy. So, the first scale is the evil you endure, and this is how heavy all the bad stuff that happened to you is. That's the heaviest one. The second one is the all the good done to you, and it measures how much good has been done to you in your whole life. The third one is a measure of the bad you do, and it's a measurement of all the evil stuff you have done in your life, not what were done to you. And the four is the scale of how much good you've done, which counterintuitively is the lightest of the scales. So, how much good you do, it can be amplified and opened up, as we'll see above, but usually the four you think you do is not as powerful as you think, because that's just the good you do, and it's not all the bad that you've done has been done to you that you've forgiven. So when the scales come into account, all these things need to be weighed, and in this case we're going to be seeing examples of the different scales of what it's like to be a good person and a bad person. As we can see here, the first scale is bad to you, and it measures the bad. It weighs on the bad that's done to you. Second scale is good to you. It's the good that's done to you and what you've done with it. Third scale is the bad for you, which is like BFU, because girls goes for bad boyfriends and stuff, but BFU, and it's the bad you do. And four is GFU, and it's the good you do, which again, as we said, counterintuitively is the lightest of the scales. So, in the case of a good person, we can see that a good person has a heavy 4 and 1. In other words, a lot of evil has happened to them. They've received very little love in their life. They've done very little evil in their life, and they've also done a lot of good. So there are people like this, and some of them are famous, some of them aren't. But these are the people's scales, essentially. Not all of them have an open one of these, and these guys might be like a celebrity who had a really trashy life and then made music that did all this heavy four. It was the good they did. That's an example of like a musician. But generally, the four people do is not as heavy as they think. Now, this is the example of a bad person, and in the case of a bad person, they've never been through any pain, so usually that involves not having empathy. And then on the other hand, they've done, or they've received a lot of love and have not been through any pain. Okay? So they had, a really nice life, never suffered, and people really loved them, and love was done to them. They were given love. They still did a lot of evil. They chose to do a lot of evil and harm, and they did very little good, which people judge each other for how little good they do. So when a person doesn't have charity and doesn't do any good, that looks bad. But people overweight this one, which is how much what you do. It's also what is done to you, which is these two, the good that's done to you, the bad that's done to you, and then it's also the evil you do and the good you do, which is the smallest one. The evil you do is obviously heavier than the good you do, and the good that's done to you is heavier than the evil you do, because the love you receive is heavier than the evil that's done to you. And then there's the evil that's done to you, which is the big whopper. And all the Jesus stuff involves having a heavy one of these. So it's quite complex, and having one of these is complex trauma, and I think there's miracles rooted into it. There's a scale system God has that God uses to analyze the good and bad of people and take this type of stuff into account and then bless them accordingly or treat them accordingly. So it's quite interesting, and I believe this was revealed to me by God, and so I am teaching what I was told to teach. Feel free to add any comments if you think I'm wrong about anything. Thank you so much.